Hey first grade, happy Friday. Rashid is here, I'm here, and today is the day we're doing regrouping. Rashid is so thrilled that he even brought a party hat to wear. And he put up some stars. Like, this is just so thrilling. So let's get started. I'll put him right here. All right. Well, you guys have become professionals at adding with tens and ones. It's been so exciting to see. Until today, we've been doing problems like this. And we know how to do these so well and so easily now. Before I solve, I'm just going to draw a quick line down the middle to remind myself of which are my tens and which are my ones. Here's my ones party over here, and here's my tens party here. So, which side am I going to find first? Do you guys remember? You're right. I really want you to get in the habit of looking over at your ones side first, your ones party. All right, so what is 7 plus 2, everybody? Yep, you got it. It's 9. And what is 3 and no more? 37 plus 2 is 39. Like I said, you guys are professionals at this. Fantastic. But today, we're changing the game. Today, we begin regrouping. Regrouping means moving something from one group to the other. And when we talk about regrouping with math, the groups that we're talking about are the tens group and the ones group. So moving something from the ones group to the tens group is what you're going to see today. The problem that I'm going to use to show you this is 37 plus 3. That's very similar to this, but you'll see that a lot changes just because of this number here. So before we do it like this, I want to show it to you very quickly with our number trains and with our tens and ones sticks, okay? So let's get started. Again, we're thinking about 37 plus 3. So let's first put up our 37. 37 is 3 tens there we go. 37 is 3 tens and 7 ones, okay? I want to add 3. So which party are they going to go into? You got it. They're going to go over here in the ones party. Uh-oh, Rashid says, stop. Something is wrong. If you look carefully over here at the ones, I'm noticing something. 3 tens and 7 ones plus 3 ones is really 3 tens plus 10 ones, because 7 plus 3 is 10. The problem I have is that tens aren't allowed to hang out in this party. They have to go over to the tens party. So we need to get him out of here. It was that easy. I just regrouped. I moved a 10 from this group to this group. Now, how many tens do I have in the tens party? 4. 4 tens is 40. My answer to 37 plus 3 is 40. 4 tens and 0 ones. Now let's try it with our sticks and ones. 30. 7 is my first number. I want to add 3, right? Let's do it. I need to add them to the ones party because I'm adding 3 ones. But as soon as I add this again, stop! There's a problem. We need to regroup because 7 plus 3 is 10. He can't hang out here. He needs to go away and come over here instead. Now I have 4 10s and no ones, which is 40. So for the second time, I see that 37 plus 3 is 40. Finally, we can do it with our board. 37 plus 3. Once again, I'm going to draw my line down the middle so that I can keep careful track of my ones party and my tens party. What I just did with the number trains and blocks, you're about to see happen with the numbers here. 7 plus 3 is 10. But when I go to write that in my ones party, I immediately see that I need to stop. I have a problem. I have to regroup. 10 is 1 10 and 0 ones. I am not allowed to have any 10s at the ones party. So I need to only leave the 0 there for the 1 10 and 0 ones and add the 1 10 to the 10s party. Now I can add the 10s party. 3 plus 1 is? For the third time I see that 37 plus 3 is 40. I hope this makes sense, and I'm excited to do this more with each of you on our math calls today and to just see your faces because I miss you guys so much. Before leaving you today, Rashid and I wanted to do 2 more things. First of all, we wanted to show you our weather log. Rashid's been doing an awesome job with it. He runs outside every morning to check the weather so that we can update our log for the day. Look how my log is turning out. Wow. Let me ask you a couple questions. Rashid, what should I ask? Okay. So the first question that he wants to ask is, if you just look at the top there, which day of all the days so far has been the sunniest? Yeah, day 8. That was yesterday, Thursday, and it was so glorious to see all that sun. There were some sun on some of the other days, but there were also clouds and even some rain on those days that had sun. Of all these days, can you tell which day was kind of windy? Yep, you got it. Day 4. And did you see what I did for day 7, which was Wednesday? I kind of showed that it not only rained a lot that day, it was also kind of misty. Did you guys notice that day? Sometimes it wasn't really raining, but it was also not dry. It was just kind of this mistiness in the air, almost like fog or really light rain. So I decided to show that with like little blue dots. And then if you look down at my temperature, you can see the line showing how it got really, really warm right around day 2 and 3. That was last Saturday, like a week ago. And then we have this big dip. And now it's starting to get warm again, which is really awesome. So glad about that. Last of all, I wanted to talk with you a tiny bit today about how, after a week of thinking about thunderstorms and other storms too, how the Bible also has some storms in it. Can you think of any Bible stories that have storms in them? I bet you can. Probably the biggest one of all is the story of Noah's Ark, right? I mean, raining for 40 days, that's pretty major. But there was another important storm that Jesus used to teach his friends something really important. We read this book in class early this year, but it seemed like a perfect time to read it again. So before I leave you today, I want to share with you The Storm That Stopped, a true story about who Jesus really is. Let me move a couple of my things so we can get started. The Storm That Stopped, a true story about who Jesus really is. Written by Allison Mitchell, illustrated by Catalina Echeverry. or a shivery. I wish I could ask her because I hate thinking that I might be saying someone's name wrong. Do you ever feel that way? Maybe that's an adult problem, but I think about that a lot. This story was written in 2015. Do you see it there? That's our copyright date. The storm that stopped. One day, long ago, Jesus was teaching people by the sea. Soon, more people arrived. Then others. Then more and more, until there were people everywhere. We can't hear back here. Give me some room. Be quiet. I can't see. The crowds were just too big. No one could see Jesus, and no one could hear Jesus. So Jesus asked his friends, the disciples, to push their boat out into the water. He sat in the boat, and the huge crowd spread out along the beach. Now they could all see and hear Jesus as he told them all about God. When he finished teaching the people, Jesus said to his friends, "Let's go over to the other side of the sea." Jesus had finished teaching the crowd, and now he had something to teach his friends. But they didn't know it yet. So they all jumped in the boat with him and set sail across the sea. Jesus was so tired. He'd been teaching the people all day, so he lay down in the back of the boat and fell fast asleep. See him there. It was a quiet evening. The water gently lapped against the boat, and the sun slowly set in the sky. Jesus was sleeping. The disciples were quietly talking. Then, all of a sudden, they were in the middle of a huge, biggest, loudest, scariest, most ginormous storm you could ever imagine. Wow. The wind blew hard. The waves grew huge. The water poured into the boat. But Jesus was asleep. The wind blew harder. The waves grew huger. The water filled the boat. But Jesus was still asleep. Jesus! Wake up! Wake up! We're drowning, don't you care? What a silly thing to say to Jesus. Of course he cared. He loved his friends so much that one day he was going to die for them. Jesus stood up in the boat. The wind was still blowing. The waves were bigger than ever. The water was pouring into the boat quicker than the disciples could tip it out. The boat was sinking. The panic meter is off the chart. Then Jesus did something amazing. He didn't help his friends pour the water out of the boat. He didn't help them try to row back to land. Jesus simply spoke. But he didn't speak to the disciples. He spoke to the storm, to the wind, and to the waves. Quiet! Be still. Just 3 little words, and the storm stopped. Right away, at that very moment, the sea was quiet, still, and calm. Then Jesus looked at his friends. Why were you so afraid? Do you still not trust me? But they were terrified, and they asked each other, who is this? Even the wind and the waves do what he says. This is what Jesus wanted to teach them. He wanted them to know who he really is. The disciples already knew a lot about God from his special book. They knew that God had made everything. He made the world, he made the sun, and the moon, and the stars. And he made the sea and the wind as well. They knew that only God could tell the sea what to do. That only God can tell the wind to blow or the waves when to crash. Only God can do those things. But the disciples had just seen Jesus do the same things God can do. So what is the answer to their question? Who is Jesus? Jesus is God. What an amazing way for him to teach them. Through a storm, through something scary, through something where they thought they might even die. But he had them in his hand the whole time. And we can trust too that no matter what happens, he has us in the palm of his hand. And his ways are right and his ways are perfect. He might be trying to teach us, or we may not know for a long time what he means to do. But there's one thing we can never doubt, that he loves us and he cares for us. I want to leave you with that thought today, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for sending me such amazing writing pieces about Vivaldi's 4 Seasons. If you haven't listened to the whole thing yet, you really should. I was blown away by what you guys shared. Just really, no words. You told me how it made you feel. You told me what you heard. You told me things that you thought you might have heard that were underneath the different layers of music. It was just amazing to read. You guys are doing such a great job, and we have a weekend, and then I can't wait to have another week with you. You're doing a great job, and Rashid and I love you very, very much. Bye, everybody.